Today we are here once again, and forgive me for posting this video a little bit late. 21 days posting videos, so it's not always that I manage my time in a proper way, and today was one of those days because we are visiting the church here in Newcastle. Actually, we are here in Newcastle already, and it was hard for me to program myself to do it before now. I hope you forgive me. And what I need to speak to you today is something very important. The devil, he's not interested for you to be working, for you to be baptized with the Holy Spirit. He's not interested. And he's going to do everything that he can to impede you to receive the Holy Spirit, to have God inside of you. You have to keep this in mind, because you need to keep your spiritual eyes open so you can see where he's being acting. Like when I posted the video about, that movie that I watched, and many of you were, I loved it because the front seats in church are now full. And, I could open your eyes to understand how he's working, where he's putting a pause to impede you to receive the Holy Spirit. And today is something very sensitive that I really need your attention, and I really need you to be spiritual to understand that. It's not difficult, it's very easy, but you will need, after this message, to be really thinking about this, to be really searching yourself, because now it's going to be a matter of searching, so you can really find and get rid of him in your life. And it's this: the devil, he works in darkness, and he works sometimes this way that he works in the darkness. Many times you help him in this work. How is that, Nanda? I'm going to explain to you. He brings a thought into your mind. And because you are not watching, you don't realize that he is bringing that evil thought. And many of you think, oh my God, I'm such a bad person. I'm such a bad person to have these thoughts. But you don't realize that he is the one who brought those thoughts in the first place. And if only you could spot it immediately. If you only could spot, like, he's talking like, remember that time when you doing this and doing that, and those horrible images come to your mind in that moment. Let's say in the preaching, you are in church, and he does this a lot. You are in church and you are looking at the pastor, and all of a sudden those images come into your mind and you feel dirty. You feel like you're sick or what? To be thinking about these things now in church before the man of God. But you don't realize that he is behind those thoughts. He is the one bringing those thoughts into your mind at that moment, because he knows you will feel bad, you will feel guilty, and you will think that it's you, that you are the evil one, that you are the bad one. And all of a sudden, you don't see yourself worthy of being there. You feel dirty and you feel like, what's the use for me to be coming here if all the time I'm having these dirty thoughts? And this is just an example. There are other things in your mind that comes to your mind and make you feel really unworthy, make you feel dirty, make you feel like you are a bad person. And only if you could spot these thoughts immediately and get rid of them and rebuke them and not allow them to come inside you, you wouldn't be weak. You would be strong. And this is faith. This is acting your faith. But what usually happens? Those thoughts come, they get into your mind, and because you feel so bad, you don't talk to them about these thoughts. You don't talk to anyone about these things, these ugly things, because you think it's you. You think you're a bad person. And isn't that... And it's only when you really bring these things to light, when you talk to someone, when you reveal the devil, it's when you can get rid of it. It's like, let's say you are having this, you know how? Let me give a clear example, and this happens a lot with women who have been abused. They feel dirty. They feel like they are not worthy to have God in their lives. And because of that, they feel as well ashamed to tell anyone about what they went through. And things get really deep. They can't forget, they can't forgive themselves and the other person. So you see, the devil is working in darkness, because everything, you know, when people look at her, she smiles, she even, you know, sometimes she forgets about it, and nobody can see what's inside. It's in darkness. And whatever is in darkness, that's where the devil is working. When you are very secretive, oh my God, there I go with my new words. I don't know. I think it's secretive. You keep loads of secrets. You are a person who's always keeping yourself to yourself. You don't open up. This is very serious. Why? Because whatever you have inside of you, that is a little space for the devil, or was brought by the devil, he's still working in that, because you don't bring it to light. But when you bring it to light, he doesn't have space in your life anymore. It's finished for him. That's why, what is the process of healing for women who have been abused? It's talking about it, and it's forgiving themselves and the other person. And for you to forgive the abuser, you don't need to go there and say, look, abuser, I forgive you. No, you don't need to do that. It's a decision inside of you. It's when you bring to light everything that was hidden, and you get rid of all those things. It's a decision that you make to forgive. It's a decision that you make to bring it to light, everything that was hidden inside of you. So everything that the devil tries to work in darkness, if there is light, he's uncovered. He's uncovered. And that thing doesn't have a negative power, impact in your life anymore. That's why it's so important that you understand. You have to search. Perhaps you are for years, seeking the Holy Spirit, and nothing happens. It's because it's not easy, as you have seen so far with our videos. It involves a lot of work. It's a process that you have to go through. You have to uncover yourself. You have to be naked before God. You have to, spiritually speaking, right? You have to, it's the 100% surrender that we spoke about previously. So, what do you need to do now? You need to think, what are these thoughts that are tormenting you? And you feel so bad to speak to anyone. Have you ever had something in your life, a secret or something that right after you shared with someone who could help you? Someone who could help you. Immediately after you shared with that person, you felt like there was a weight being lifted from you. You felt so light. That's it. It's because the devil was oppressing you with that, and then you feel heavy. You feel sad. It's like you can't get rid of that. But from the moment that you spoke about it, that you started bringing up, and then you start finding more stuff, you start finding it. And from the moment you get rid of those things, it's like when you have something against someone, and sometimes you feel the need to go and speak to the person. Look, so and so, I'm sorry about I had these thoughts about you and blah blah blah. After you speak to the person, how do you feel? You feel light. You feel like, I've done my part. Whew, I feel like nothing there anymore. Why? It is like the devil was in the darkness, and then you opened the door of the cupboard and light came in, and he disappeared. He has to disappear. But maybe inside of you it's full of hidden places where the devil has been working a lot in your mind, in your thoughts. And because you don't know how to fight in the spiritual world, you need to learn how to fight in the spiritual world. You need to be putting your, sometimes I use the term like the 3D glasses, where you can see the devil working around you. And from the moment that you understand, that you pay attention, that you start having the spiritual eyes and learning, you start changing. And you start feeling free. And, changes start happening in you. And then you are preparing the place. You are preparing the house. That's how you prepare the house for the Holy Spirit to come. So here it is, my tip for today. And I really hope you will catch the Spirit. You will understand. Maybe this is not something for everybody. Or maybe it is. Sometimes even with myself, the devil tries to bring things. And if I don't use my faith to rebuke, if I don't realize that he's trying, then I don't act. And if I don't act, it goes inside me. And all of a sudden, it's not the devil anymore, it's me. Because I accepted those thoughts. I accepted those things inside of me. So it's not him anymore. It starts to be me. So here goes, together with the guidance for today, goes a task for you. Search yourself. Start looking, start questioning, start realizing where is it that the devil is trying to work in the darkness. What kind of feelings are hidden in the darkness of yourself. Uncover them. Take them out. Speak to someone, speak to your pastor, speak to someone who can help you with spiritual guidance. And then it's a process even of deliverance as well. Perhaps you are seeking the Holy Spirit, but you are not even delivered yet. And you keep on asking, why am I not delivered? Maybe that's why. Because it's a process. It's not only going to Friday services. Our process of deliverance is not only about the strong prayers. It's who you are when you live after the strong prayers. It's what you do after that. This is going to determine your deliverance. And this liberation of these feelings and this darkness and these things that are in the dark that the devil is being using to torment you, it's part of this process. All right? So here's the tip for today, and we'll be back tomorrow with more interesting things for all of us. May God bless you. See you tomorrow.